Hi, again, this is Mr. Rangat, your teacher in Earth and Environmental Science. Today we'll be learning about leaching. So it's called leaching, and we will discover how it affects the groundwater. And we have all the materials here that we'll be using. We have the funnel, we have the Erlenmeyer flask, we have the beaker, we have the graduated cylinder, we have these different types of soil particles. We have silt, we have clay, we have sand. In addition to the three types of soil particles, we have pebbles. The very first thing that we will be doing is the process of sieving. So take note that sieving is not totally the same with filtration. The main difference between sieving and filtration is that in sieving, you want to separate two or more particles based on their sizes, and all particles are solids. While in filtration, you want to separate the solid particles from the liquid mixture. Again, sieving is when you want to separate the components of a solid mixture, while in filtration, you want to separate the components of a liquid mixture. So let us do the process of sieving. The first step that we need to do in sieving is to make sure that we have the sieve, a net that would separate the small particles from the big particles. I'll be putting the net right there. I'll hold it firmly so that it won't be loosening up later. And here we have the clay soil. What I will do is that I will take a spoonful of clay and I'll put it in the sieve. I took about four, and this is the fifth one, 4 spoonful of clay soil mixture of different sizes, that is. And look what happened. So here in the sieve, I separated the big clay particles from the smaller clay particles right there. So that is called the process of sieving. Now, say for example that this clay particle is mixed with water. So this is now a liquid mixture. So how do I separate at least some of the clay particles from the liquid mixture? So just like what we've used in that one, we need a funnel right here. And this time we'll be using the Erlenmeyer flask. And then of course we need a filter paper. So you have the filter paper here. So what you need to do is to fold it lengthwise. And then fold it again. Now it's shaped like a cone. Now get an opening right there. So it is shaped now like the shape of the funnel right here. Then you'll insert it there. Now I will get a tape to make sure that it doesn't loosen up that easily. So I will tape it here. And I will tape it on the other side too, so that it won't be messy later. There it is. Now, this is what we call the process of filtration. So we'll be filtering this clay mixture, liquid mixture that is, using the filter paper, and I'll do it slowly. And notice the color of the clay here, or notice the color of the mixture here, and notice what comes out on the other one. So again, this is called the process of filtration. And just like what I said earlier, process of filtration, in the process of filtration, what you are doing is that you are separating the components of a solid in a liquid. While in the process of sieving, what we are doing is that we are separating a mixture of solids. Again, this is filtration right here. And what we did earlier with the sieve is called sieving. And this is called the process of filtration. This process of filtration happens during percolation. When water seeps into the ground, it passes through a layers of pebbles and rocks. And as the water passes through the layers of pebbles and rocks, the water is filtered. And that is why when it reaches the groundwater, it is clean. But this is not always what happens. We have what we call leaching, wherein some of the dissolved materials in the water that percolates into the ground is not totally cleansed by the process of filtration. And this results to the pollution in our groundwater supply. There are also other things that can ruin our groundwater supply, and this includes the process of fracking, wherein, so when you say fracking, I'll be writing it down. So this process of fracking is the mining process that they now use in order to get the natural gas from under the ground. And in their process of getting that natural gas, they drill a hole, then they insert a tube, and then they inject water, sand, and chemicals into the rocks to loosen them in order for them to collect the natural gas. And that also pollutes our groundwater. But today, we'll be doing our demonstration about leaching and groundwater. In the next lesson, we'll be learning more about what this fracking is. So, again, this is now the process of filtration. Now I need you to compare how the two looks like. See how brown this is and see how lighter this is. Filtration does that. So filtration removes the solid particles and makes the water cleaner. And this is what happens when percolation recharges the groundwater supply that we have. So how do we show the process of leaching, and also how do we show the process of percolation? What we'll be using is the graduated cylinder. Then we have this water here. So this is just from the top. I'll be pouring water to this graduated cylinder up to the 40 ml mark. Okay, so that is 40 ml of water in this graduated cylinder. The next thing that I will do is that I will use this ball of cotton. So the ball of cotton will simulate the soil and the rocks in the ground. And then insert it there. I'll be using this one, this stick, to push it. And there it is. The next thing that I will do is that I'll be putting some silt right here. So this is the silt. Okay. And then I'll be putting some clay, the one that I sieved earlier. So this is the one that I sieved earlier. I'll be putting it in. Okay. And then I'll be putting in some sand. Sand is right here. Okay. And then I'll be putting in some gravel. Or in this case, we call them pebbles. Okay. So now this right here, this area here is what we call the water table. The water table is the distinction between the soil and the groundwater. So this area here is called the water table, and this one here represents the groundwater. And then we have the soil here. Okay, the soil, the water table, and then we have the groundwater. The next thing that we'll be doing is that we'll be simulating percolation. I'll get some more water right here. Then, I'll be getting water from this. Okay. And then, look what happens to the water when it goes on the soil. So imagine that this is precipitation. So I'll pour the water. Okay. Do you observe how the water infiltrates? So this is called infiltration. As it goes deeper and as it recharges the groundwater, that is when we call it the process of percolation. So we'll be putting more. Let's see how it happens if I put more. So this is now percolation because I'm sure it will be reaching the groundwater and it will recharge it. Now the water that I'm pouring into the graduated cylinder represents the process of precipitation. Okay. Now the water on top of the ground, that is now what we call as the runoff. Now you'll notice here that the water is now infiltrating and it's now trying to go down until it reaches the bottom part of the soil. So this is called infiltration. When the water soaks into the ground up to the root level of the trees, we call that infiltration. However, if the water soaks into the ground and reaches the groundwater and recharges it, then we call that percolation. So it will take some time for the percolation to happen right there. Now, let's try to imagine if someone throws or dumps toxic chemicals into the ground. What do you think will happen? Or the toxic chemical comes with the runoff. What do you think will happen? Will this layer of soil be able to stop the pollution, the toxic pollution, from going into the groundwater? As of now, the process of infiltration is still okay. You can see that it's moving downward. Okay. But this one now shows us the pollution. So this red food color will simulate the presence of a toxic pollutant. There it is. You will notice here that the red color is now infiltrating into the ground and it's almost ready to reach the next layer, which is the clay layer. So look at that one right here. You will see that the red food color simulating the pollution is already in the ground. And now this is what we call the process of leaching. And this process of leaching would eventually reach the groundwater and pollutes our source of drinking water. This is the same reason why we need to protect our water supply, because this groundwater here is so limited that if we ruin it, if we pollute it, then someday many of our children, or probably even us when we grow older, we won't have any clean water to drink. See that one, it's now leaching. And after a few hours, we will be taking a picture of this one and you will see what happened to the polluted water. Will it be able to reach this one? And that's what we'll be learning. Okay? So take care of our groundwater supply, stop polluting, and educate yourself and also educate others. Thank you so much.